right? My goddamn control arm is bad, champ. But breaking news: the boy Unfoonk, that is Young Thug's brother, has just been sentenced to 9 years in jail because he took that outfit plea. And if y'all remember, I did cover it. The young man got arrested while purchasing marijuana from one of the many gas stations that's around, right? And the police ran down on him because they was already surveillance in the area, right? So he got locked up again after getting out of jail. And now it's saying that he is looking at 9 years in jail, man. And that's what happens when you take pleas and then you get locked up again, champ. All right. So I'm going to read a little bit of exactly what they saying as far as Unfoonk is concerned. All right. So Young Thug's brother was arrested last month on charges of possessing a firearm by a convicted felon, amongst other things. As I just said, Unfoonk, Young Thug's brother, is one of the YSL's co-defendant who previously earned their freedom back via a plea deal. Unfortunately, the embattled artist was arrested again last month for violating terms of his agreement. At the time, officers found a weapon on his person. Unfoonk was brought in on charges of possession of a firearm as a convicted felon, persons associated with the criminal street gang to participate in illegal activities. All right. Then it says, today, on June 5th, the Georgia native had his day in court. Sadly for him, Judge Uriel Glanville sentenced him to nearly a decade in jail. And this is quote unquote from the judge. And this is what the judge says, champ. Part of the special condition was that you were not supposed to possess a firearm. Unfoonk born Quantavious Greer was lectured by the judge. And the state was pretty clear, I find, based upon preparandence. I don't know what that means, champ. I sold rocks of the evidence that the state has proved this case that you have violated your probation. All right. So Unfoonk has violated his probation by getting locked up after taking that plea deal. The judge goes on to say, your attorney has asked me to consider a revocation of 2 years. And I certainly respect her. I respect that you don't know unless you ask. So closed mouths don't get fed, basically. But the issue I find aggravating this particular circumstance is that you got arrested with a gun within 6 months of you being placed on probation. So it's basically like a spit in the face, like I said when I was covering this before. All right. Then he says, afterward, he made it clear that he doesn't see Unfoonk as a candidate for probation due to his recent antics. Other conditions that were part of last December's plea deal included staying out of contact with Thugger and other co-defendants until the end of trial, completing 750 hours of community service, and sticking to a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. Elsewhere in the news, deputy affiliated with the YSL case was arrested earlier this month. She since had so that has nothing to do with him. All right. So yeah, he's locked up. He's about to be locked up for the next decade, champ, because he did not know how to stay out of trouble. All right. So this just goes to show you, and like I said before, probably the last thing I'm going to say about this before we move on, because this wasn't even a part of what I was doing today, right? But this is going to help Young Thug's case because Young Thug's lawyer is going to paint it as, you know, all these people that took plea deals, they just took those deals. They would have said whatever to get out of jail, right? So that's basically what his lawyer is going to say. Yeah, we seen this coming. I don't feel bad for bro because he was careless and knew what he was facing. That's a fact. Probation is not a second chance to get arrested. It is not. Once you're on probation, and you get locked up and you violate probation, you got to do the time that you were supposed to initially do, probably plus 6 months. Right? So that's that, champ. That's what happens when you just say you want to get out of jail, but you don't want to change what got you in jail in the first place.